Why hello there, Anxious Cynic, back again with another Minimator tutorial. So a lot of you guys have been asking me for a tutorial on how to build a rig, in particular a face rig, but this might actually end up being a multi-part tutorial. Let's get rid of that pain. To discuss different aspects of tutorial building, actually rig building. Alright, so as you can see we have a blank slate here. We're going to get started by first adding a character. And we're just gonna do the typical Steve rig humanoid figure type thing. So let's make sure that all of his parameters are default. Alright, so what I've done is I went into Minecraft. Now there's a number of ways to make a rig, and generally people seem to like to use items and things. They say it helps keep the library cleaner or whatever. I've heard that. Personally, for me, it seems like it makes it more cluttered and it's a little more tricky to work with. You have to use more parts. So what I do, and I don't know if this is a frowned upon practice or not, but what I like to do is use schematics. I make parts within Minecraft itself, and then I bring them in and scale them to use how I want. I'm going to show you how to bring them in. I'm not going to show you how to build them because, you know, you can build whatever you want. If you've played Minecraft, then you know the deal. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring in the parts that I built and show you guys how I've made my previous things as well as possible future ones, unless I adopt a new method. I'm going on and on for no reason. Here we go. We're going to import scenery. I started a new thing. What did I call it? I think I called it Rig World. Yeah, here we go. As you can see, I have this very delicious color scheme set up here. Not very appealing looking, but whatever. So we're just gonna eyeball this based on the size. The size of the Minecraft head is about 8 pixels across, like in all dimensions, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if I'm using the right words today. So what I did is I built this to be within that same range. And as you can see here, if you can see this tiny little screen here, or I can zoom in on it, I guess, and completely mess up my selection. Okay, so what I've got is a jaw, I've got the head, I've got the main hair, and then the front hair. And the reason for that is because the way that they're lined up on the skin doesn't really translate to the way the schematic has to be built, so you have to make that little piece separate. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and click done on this. We're going to create, and we get this huge piece here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just import the rest of our parts. We're going to go import world, or from world, and we're going to do all these. And basically, it's pretty simple. You just grab all your stuff just like you would any other scenery and bring it on in. So I'll go ahead and bring the rest of this in and I will cut ahead. Alright, so we've got all of our main pieces in here, and as you can see it looks absolutely horrible. One of the things you may notice is the names here. I really have a problem with this, a piece from whatever piece of Rig World. One thing to mention is if you have these pieces when you any type of scenery you're doing. This is a tip not just for rigs, but if you import something from another project that has this name, like say piece of Rig World is one of these, and then I import something else from Rig World in another project, and then I want to import that object that I made into this project, it can risk replacing this with that newer version. So just, I don't know if I explained that well, but just be careful about those file names. They can kind of mess you up if you're using objects from other projects that you've made, if that makes sense. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and find all of our pieces here and label them within this project so that we can keep up with what the hell we're doing. All right. So as you can see here, this is the hair, this is the head, and the other piece is the jaw. This is similar to how I had it laid out in the Minecraft world. So this piece is the jaw, so we're going to go ahead and name it Rig jaw. And somebody mentioned me using the the underscores there. I don't know why. It just kind of helps me to remember things and make it look organized. Okay, I've done it. I've got it all labeled. Sorry that was clunky. I probably cut some stuff out there because I just cannot think today. All right, so this is our head, and what we want to do is start with it because it's going to be the main anchor to everything that we do. So we're going to parent this to our Steve character. What we're actually going to do, though, is parent it to the head of the Steve character. And we're going to take off visibility. We don't want it to inherit visibility or scale from the Steve character. All right, so that's going to allow us to mess with the head if we want, we need to make it disappear so it doesn't conflict with this and stuff. So what we're going to do now is bring it down. We're actually going to recenter it. And let's actually get this jaw out of the way because I got to see what I'm doing here. All right, so scale this down. And you're basically just going to use the head for now as a way of seeing how big this needs to be. All right, so on this particular project here, it looks like 0.0625 is about the size of the Steve. As you can see, the textures are conflicting. And now that we have that in place of our head, we're going to go ahead and make his actual head disappear. So Steve's got a rather wonky looking setup here now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take the jaw then. We're going to parent this. God, I can't get the words out today. We're going to parent this to the rig head now. Pretend for the most part that the head does no longer exist. Rig head is now the character's head. So we're going to parent it there. We're going to zero that proportion out. And we're going to bring this forward. And I think 32 is going to be about where we want it. So now he has this jaw. Now you could just make the head square and just use lips or whatever for talking or whatever you want to do. I just kind of found in my experience that having the jaw gives you that extra little bit of animating ability where you can kind of have him do things and it makes his whole jaw area move realistically if you want to. There's any number of ways of doing this. This is just the way that I've done it in the past, and I figured that was the best way to show you guys what I do and how and where and when and things. All right, so we're going to go ahead and parent the hair to the rig head once again. Let's go ahead and do that. And as you can see, everything is inheriting the scale of the rig head here, which isn't bad per se, but certain things you may want to change. For instance, the hair, we need to be a little bit bigger. So rather than it inheriting the scale, we're going to do that, and we're going to bring it scale down by itself. And we want it to be a little bit bigger because you generally probably want 3D hair. Now, using items or blocks within Minimator and building the hair from scratch can give you a little bit more room to play, but this is just the easiest way that I've found to do it, and this is just kind of how I do it. So let's see here. What we don't want, this is what I was talking about with the hair, is this part's gonna come forward, and we don't want that. We want it to go back. So what we're actually gonna have to do is click this button here, if you can see what I'm talking about. For now, we're not going to, but we're going to have to click that in a second to fine tune this. So let's just make this 6.5. I think 6.5 might work. It gives us maybe a little bit more. Let's do 6.7 because we do want that 3-dimensional look for the hair. So we're going to back this up. And it doesn't, I don't know, you pretty much want it flush here, so maybe that's about -5. We'll fine tune that in a minute. Let's see. All right, this is all looking pretty okay, and we want our Z to come down. We're going to have it be flush. That's about how the Minecraft Steve hair looks. Now we're going to get our individual parameters for scale. And what we want to do here, I want to fine tune this position. So maybe it's 5.2. Oh, no, hang on. 5.2. Nope, so we got to go lower. 4.5, 4.8, 7. 4.7 looks close enough. Now, again, yours may vary. If you're doing your own with this, then yours may look a little different. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. But I think for now, for the sake of this tutorial, I think this looks pretty good. It may not have quite the sticking out effect for the three-dimensionalness that you want, but that'll get us somewhere in the ballpark. So we're going to go ahead and parent the front piece of hair to the rig head. And we're going to get rid of this stuff so we can fine tune it. Just bring it to the front here. And we may want, let's see, what is this going to be? 88.8. Let's see what that looks like. It's a little bit finicky. You have to get kind of close and eyeball these things and get them exactly where you want them. 88.9, 88.7. Let's try 89.5, 4, 2, 3. As you can see, if you pay attention to the number of things that I'm doing here, as you go in increments, it adjusts things in varying levels, like once you get into those decimals. And it's unfortunate that we have to work with those awful decimals, but I think this is working pretty well for us. 89.21, something like that. And we're going to have to do the individual scale here as well, depending on what you want. If you want this three-dimensional effect here on the corners, then you can do that. I'm going to expand mine out just a bit. I'm going to narrow this down. Let's just say 0.6 works for me. And on the Z, we're going to have that stay. And let's see here. We want to pretty much even this out here. See, the texture's kind of conflicting there. That's one of the issues you might have. And that's why you want to try to keep overlapping textures to a minimum. Is that it's called, what do they call it? Z clipping, because the textures are fighting for their space. They don't like being all over each other and whatnot, so you gotta allow them to have that wiggle room that they like. The hair up front is way too much now, so what we're gonna do is reduce the width a bit. That means we're gonna have to redo the thing. Let's just try 0.31. That works for me. Hope it works for you. We're going to drag this back again. Now, this is like such a small thing. It doesn't really matter that much if they clip, but, it's just something that I wanted to keep in mind. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it there and leave it like that. And it looks like we're kind of clipping over the eyeballs that we have here. Now, one thing I want to mention is I actually built this rig kind of from memory. I didn't really double check that much to see how much it actually works with the look of Minecraft. So I apologize right now if this turns out looking wonky. Maybe we're making like a Muppet Steve. And he'll have the big chin and the low brow kind of look. One thing we can do though, let's just see if we can correct this a bit. We're going to reduce our Z scale. Let's make it about 0.8. And we'll just raise it up. Try to remedy this issue a little bit. Obviously, when it comes to rig building, I'm just trying to give you guys the basics of like how to do it. And you can create any kind of character your heart desires. I mean, it really is just that free form and simple. Whatever it is that you're wanting to do, then have at it. Something like that. Close enough, all right? That's what we're going to go with. And as you can see, now we can see a little bit better on the eyes. And we've got the chin here, or the jaw, and everything. We are going to be retexturing this. So or like at least reskinning it, like the color, basically. Generally, what I would do in that regard is, I'm going to go to the color tab here. I would get the exact like skin tone of Steve, like by using like a color picker in Adobe Photoshop or something, and then I would use that color code, which I'll show you in a second here. When you bring up this mix color here, you have the hex value, and that's what I would use in Photoshop, is to get that hex value from a color picker and then import it into Minimator and paste it into this, and that's how I would do that. But for now, we're just going to eyeball it. Once again, we're making Muppet Steve, so I think you'll be all right. So let's go ahead and mix that, and then we can kind of eyeball this as we go along. There we go, something like that. So we're going to copy this. I'm going to hit Control-C on my keyboard and copy that hex value, right? And then what we're going to do is go into the head, and we're going to go here, and we're going to select all this, and we're going to hit Control-V, as in vehicle, and paste that, and then we're going to bring the mix percentage up, and there we go. We have a more natural looking Steve. He's not all orange and crazy looking. I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the hair, but of course the hair is a little more subjective. The wool kind of has a hair look to it, so, you know, whatever you want to do. There's also a more advanced way that we could try to color the hair, but that's something maybe if you guys want to see how to do that, I might try it for a future tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a darker brown. And what I'm going to do is actually make the mix percentage here around like 65%. And let's go ahead and copy this hex value. And we're going to select the hair on the front. There we go. And then we'll do 65% again. So it kind of gives a little bit of texture. It looks somewhat okay. All right. So that is the head. That's how you build your rig head. And now we just have to start adding the details. We're going long on this tutorial, so I don't know if this is going to be a long tutorial or if we're going to have to split it up into parts. But we'll see how it goes. For now, we're just going to trudge on. And what we want to do is bring in a block. We're just going to make a blank old Minecraft block here. And we're going to scale it down. Let's actually name this cube parts, because we're going to hopefully be able to use this for multiple things in the rig here. So for now, we're going to have this. We're going to bring it up. We're actually going to parent this, of course, to the rig head. So there we go. And we're going to make it where it doesn't copy the scale. So we're going to bring this back over here, and we're going to bring back our scaling parameters here, and let's make our thing 0. I'm gonna make this, doesn't really matter. You can make the rotation point whatever you like, but for me, I want to have it in the center just because. All right, so we're gonna do like this. We're gonna scale this down. As you can see, I'm just scaling it. It doesn't really, you know, you don't have to be a rocket surgeon to know what I'm doing here. So you're just scaling it to fit inside the head. And what we're doing here is like we're using this to create the white of the eyes. So you got that. And what we're going to try to do is use this one block to accomplish a number of tasks within our rig here. So we're going to duplicate this part here. And we're going to rename it. This one we're going to call Teeth. We're going to bring it down. And for this one, I actually want the rotation point to be on the bottom, like that. And this one's actually going to get parented to our jaw. So let's go ahead and do that. And move this into place. We want to have our Y brought down a bit. Let's just make it 0.04. There we go. And we'll just leave it right about there for now. Let's bring the X in a tad. How about 0.4 even? We're going to bring our Z down. Let's just make that 0.8. Nope. 0.8. or maybe a little bit more. Let's make it 0.9. I think that works. All right, so that's teeth, and we're actually going to refine the name of this one to teeth bottom, and then we're going to open it up here, and we're going to duplicate this, and then we're going to name teeth top, and we're going to rotate it 180 degrees, just like that. And then we're going to bring this one here. And the reason I do that, like the rotation point doesn't really matter. To me, it just makes it look cleaner and helps you to stay organized the way you want to. So now Steve has eye whites and he's got teeth. He's doing amazingly. All right. So what we're going to do now is make lips. So what we want to do here is take the top teeth, and we're going to duplicate those again. And this is actually going to go back to be parented to the rig head. So we'll do that. We're going to bring it forward. We basically just want to line it up with the face here, the same plane as the face. It looks close enough. Once again, I highly recommend fine-tuning this stuff. I'm just trying to get through it so you guys can get the idea and do it for yourself. Wrong one. We want to get that hex value again for the skin tone. We're going to copy that and teeth top. We're going to bring this in, paste it, and then bring that mix value up so now it blends in. And we're actually going to call this one lip top. So this is going to be your lips, so you can animate Steve's face a little bit, something like that. Once again, we're just kind of eyeballing this. I would fine-tune this greatly if I were making an actual thing here. So once again, you can scale this. You can get it, perfectly wherever you want. Chances are you would need to scale the lips a bit differently than your teeth. But for now, we're just going to go with this. And we're going to go ahead and... Actually, I think our top teeth may need to be... Yeah, they probably need to be parented to the head as well. I'm sorry about that. I'll go ahead and fix it. Let's just get inside here and make sure that we line things up pretty well. That looks all right. All right, there we go. The reason for this is if you animate the jaw, you don't want the top teeth and the top lip to move with the jaw, obviously. So that's why we're doing it that way. All right, so now we're going to duplicate the teeth bottom. And of course, we're going to change this to lip bottom. We're going to go into our values here. We're going to change it to the skin tone. And we're going to bring it forward, just like the other one. And again, I would go through and like really size these down to being just about the exact size of the hole and making it flush with the skin on the face. That sounded weird, but you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But now you've got the lips and you can move that around, and you've got the teeth you can animate as well. And now the way you can animate these is just like I did here. You can move it up and down, or you can actually use the scale. The only thing is, like, since this is a custom Z scale setting, then you have to remember that if you want to reset it, because if you right click to reset, then it's going to go nuts. See, your bottom lip just went crazy, man. But if you remember it's 0.09, then, or whatever it was that we had it on, then you can do that and it won't cause you too much grief. So let's go ahead and set that there, and let's set this here. So there, now Steve has a very blank expression. All right, so what we're gonna do is actually take the lip here and we're gonna duplicate it, lip top, and we're gonna make this eyelid right top. Okay, we're going to bring this up and we're going to scale it. We want it to be about the same size as the eye holes here. as you might imagine. Let's go ahead and bring it on up into this where definitely clips beyond. And this is something you would probably definitely want to use scale to animate. For now though, I'm just gonna position them and get them to size, basically. All right, so that's eyelid right top. We're gonna duplicate that and we're gonna undo the rotation on it to make the bottom one. So there we go. Let's reduce the scale a bit on this one, and we're gonna name this one eyelid right bottom. So there you go. And then what we're gonna do is duplicate this one and drag it over. Now again, like sometimes you can do this and you'll have like the numbers on your side here where you can figure out those and get them exactly in the same position as the other one, but for now we're just gonna approximate it. So this is eyelid left bottom, and then we're gonna go to the eyelid right top, and we're gonna duplicate it, and then we're gonna bring it over. Just once again eyeballing the position there. We're gonna eyelid left top. So now you have all of these things. You've got your eyelid on the bottom on both sides. You've got your eyelid on the left, and we've named them all so that you know exactly what you're messing with when you go in to animate these things. All right. So as you can see here, I've created all these things from this one part so that our library stays very clean. We got 9 counts of this cube being used, and it makes it very easy to add all these features to the face without completely overwhelming your library. That's why I do it this way. There may be better ways to do it. This is just the way I do it. So what we're going to do is go to the, let me see, parts here. We're going to rename this to eye whites. That way we'll know what that is. Actually, the reason I was using the word parts because I wanted to name this one for our library. So we know that this cube is all of our parts. It's not that important. I just wanted to have that be there. Okay, so now we're going to duplicate our eye whites. Again, this order that I'm doing this in is completely up to you. It doesn't really matter. And what I'm going to do is reset the scales. I'm going to bring this back and I'm going to scale this down so that it's a perfect square. Again, that's not 100% necessary. That's just how I'm doing it because it makes it super easy. So we're going to bring this out here, and this is going to be our pupil. And what we want to do is have it be black or brown, whatever color you want Steve to be. Maybe Steve is one of those beautiful blue-eyed people. I don't know. And we're going to bring this back just a bit. Now, as you can see, this got a big square in the back of his head. It doesn't really matter. If you want to kind of like scale this down so it's thinner, just like we did the teeth, that's completely up to you, man. But I'm going to make this a little bigger. Let's have his eye be, let's just say 0.06. Something like that. He got blue eyes, man. Look at that. That's crazy. All right. So this one is going to be pupil right. Right. Okay, so we're going to take pupil right and we're going to duplicate it, as you might have imagined, and we're going to drag it on over, and then we're going to name it. Did you guess? Could you guess what we were naming it? Pupil left. And there we go. So there's your basic like Steve Rig face and whatnot. So let's say like I honestly did not do this rig right to have room for eyebrows, and as you can see, the proportions of the face are kind of off. Like I said, I built it from memory. It's not good, I'm sorry, but I can still go through the steps and show you how to build a Muppet. All right, so we want eyebrows. We're gonna create a new object, which is gonna be a body part. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, what you use. There may be different entities that'll give you a better action for this. But for this, we're just going to use a human arm. I'm going to create that. And let's see where it is. Let's parent this, of course, to the rig head. Just as we always do, we're going to take the scale off. And we're going to scale it down ourselves. And we're going to bring it out over here. Here we go. All right. So we got this arm. So now what I'm going to do actually is get the hair. Going to get this hex value, Control C, copy. And then we're going to find our arm and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to Control V and paste it and bring it up. And that way it'll look very similar to the rest of the hair. So what we're going to do here is, let's see, which way is it bending? So it bends this way. So this is what we got to compensate for. So we're going to take this and we're going to rotate it -90. And then we're going to rotate this to 90 degrees. Let's take the bend out of it. Let's leave a slight bend just so we can see what we're doing. And we're just going to, line it up with the face here. However far you'd want it to stick out. Let's just say, kind of like a cartoon character, his eyebrows are going to go through his hairline for some reason. Or whatever. You may have reasons you want to do that, so we'll do that. Generally, you want the eyebrows to probably be a little thinner than the hairline. We've messed up, okay? Blame me. It's my fault, but I didn't do this properly. But you can see it. It's there. So what we're going to do is rename this to eyebrow right. And then we're going to dupe. And then bring it over. And we have to churn this. So it's going to be 90 degrees this way. And again, I would usually pay really close attention to the numbers that I'm using to try and get these about, dead even on each side to make the face symmetrical. I think just by eyeballing it here, we're pretty close. And there's his eyebrows. He's got them eyebrows, man. And if you want to animate these kind of at the same time, one thing I'll do is you can take this, click like on the right one or left one, whichever, hold the shift key, click the other one, and then you have both. And when you rotate one, it rotates both of them. See, I'm using the x-axis here. And that can be like a really easy way to get symmetrical eyebrow movements if you so desire. And then make sure you reset it. Once again, if you right click these parameters to reset them, it's gonna probably mess you up. So you need to keep note of like what your numbers are that you set things to when you build your rig, so that when you go to reset stuff, it'll be how you want it to be. So there you go. That's also another tip for the pupils here. Let's go ahead and select them both. If you want to move the pupils, you don't want his eyes bugging out, or maybe you do, but if you don't, if you want them to move normally, you select both of them, and then when you move one, they both move very similarly to how you would have, your real pupils moving. Okay, see there? So I changed the position here and it changed it for both of them. Let's undo that, and that's something you'll want to do. If you need to adjust the position via the numbers up here, then you'll want to do that individually, because you'll make that little boo-boo that I just made. Okay, so now that you got the basic face set up, we're going to do a couple of little finishing touches here. And just so we can see what we're doing, I'm going to go ahead and adjust the scale here on the lips. Let's bring it in. So what we're going to do is go to our lips. Why did I say lips? Eye wides. Here we go. And we're going to duplicate that. And we're going to bring it down. And we're going to drag it back just a tad. And we're going to want to change this to mouth. So we're going to do that. We're going to change the color to some kind of dark reddish color, I guess. Something like that. And you just want to... You can probably put it however far back you want to. I don't really think it matters that much. What I would do though is bring it down slightly. Once again, this is just based off of the way that I'm doing it. Because the jaw can move, you may want it to bias lower in case you lower the jaw, causing all hell to break loose, right? So if you do like that, you don't want to expose, a bunch of nothingness there. Or if you go like this, it's just more important to do it that way. So we're going to have that. So there you go. You have like the interior of the mouth there. And basically, for the final little bit here that you might need to do is the teeth you may want to be able to move. Everything you pretty much want to be able to move except for the eye whites. So you may want to go ahead and click the little lock icon there. You may want to lock down your hair. And let's see. What else do we need? There's something else. Oh yeah, the mouth. Because we just did the mouth. You want to go ahead and lock that. And that way it'll just keep you, like if you want to be able to click on the pupils here, you don't want to have to click on the eye whites by accident, or you want to click on the teeth or the lips. You don't want to accidentally click on the mouth and move it. Stuff like that. So you can go ahead and lock those layers so that you don't have to worry about clicking on them. And it'll work beautifully. It'll be awesome. You'll see. So there it is. There is the wonderful, wonderful rig that we made. And I'm ashamed of it. I'm ashamed of my creation. I guess I know what Frankenstein felt like. Because Frankenstein's the doctor, not the monster. Did you know that? Some people get that confused. Anyway, there he is. There's Steve. You can kind of see in there, you got the red, so it looks real natural and whatnot. But there it is. There's the Steve rig. I hope you learned something. I hope it helped you guys with your rig making endeavors. Sorry it was such a long tutorial. But, there was a lot to cover, so hope it was helpful. If you guys want to know how to do fingers, because I've gotten that question before, but I feel like this probably answers that. But if you would like me to include fingers on a tutorial or something, maybe refine this rig or do something more advanced or whatever, let me know, and I'll try to cover that in a future tutorial. But for now, that's how you make a face and stuff. So thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful. Hope you enjoyed it to some extent, and I will see you in the next video.